はい。もしもし。こんばんは。ありがとうです。よろしくお願いします。Hai. ah Selamat malam, teman-teman. Hai, good evening, I guess. Ya, karena kita bakal main Tiny Bunny. Aku pernah main game ini sebelumnya di waktu Halloween tahun ini, Oktober kemarin kalau nggak salah. Dan itu cuma part 1 doang, itu cuma prolog doang. Jadi kayak kita diberitahu game ini kayak gimana dan mekanismenya kayak gimana dan ceritanya kayak gimana ya. Maksudnya untuk intronya doang. Dan ya, aku suka banget sama pembawaannya, sama art stylenya juga. Bisa kalian dari lihat ini ya, home screennya, menu screennya itu bagus banget artnya. Terus ada ininya juga overlay yang apa istilahnya, estetikanya bagus banget. Dari voice acting sendiri, aku harap ada voice acting, cuma kayaknya nggak ada sih. But yeah, we'll see for ourselves. Konbanwa, Kansaki Shin. Halo, welcome to the stream. Ada Ahmad Raffi juga tadi ya. Halo, halo Ahmad Raffi. Ada Yo Dream juga. Halo Yo. Ya, Marizuka. Halo, konbanwa. Ya, jadi oh ya, dan ada sedikit hadiah atau penyemangat dari Mbak Uno. Dia seorang cosplayer. Bisa dicek Twitternya. Mungkin ku taruh di ini aja kali ya. Apa? Ku taruh di deskripsi aja ya, buat kalian kalau mau ngecek cosplaynya Mbak Uno. Dia ngasih kita beberapa apa namanya? Lupa ganti akun. Siapa itu? Popo ya? Popo kayaknya. Nah, kita bakal ada sedikit hiburan, bukan hiburan sih. Kita ada foto cosplay dari Mbak Uno yang bakal cosplay sebagai salah satu dari karakter Tiny Bunny. Dan ya, kita bakal lihat dulu, main dulu sebentar sampai muncul karakter ceweknya, si adik kecilnya itu. Dan kita bakal showcasein cosplaynya si Mbak Uno. Dan mirip banget sih emang, sial. It's so beautiful, okay? The cosplay is just nice. So yeah, we just gonna start it. Kita bakal mulai aja langsung Tiny Bunny. Kita kayaknya bakal mulai dari awal ya. Kemarin aku kalau nggak salah berhenti itu di bagian ketika si pemeran utama, cowoknya ini, dia lari dari kejaran beberapa anjing liar. Dan prolognya berhenti sampai di situ. Jadi kita bakal coba nerusin ending itu aja. Jadi kita bakal milih pilihan yang sama di game ini. Kali ini juga kita bakal milih pilihan yang sama. Sampai ntar terusannya bakal kayak gimana kita nggak tahu. Jadi ya, looking forward to it I guess. New game. Oke, ini sama ya. Ini masih sama kayak ini ya. Ikde, yo Popo-chan, udah bisa dipakai gitu ya. Maaf bang, telat. Enggak kok, santai. Eksi, santai. Welcome to the stream by the way, Illuminate. Mbak Uno nih, doi datang nih. Let's go. The wind cloud at my window all night long. Bentar, suara gamenya aku gedein, suara ininya aku matiin ya, BGM ya. Hai. Akhirnya bisa komen lagi. Pas itu nggak bisa ya. Oke. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Kekecilan suaranya bang. Suara gamenya atau suaraku? Kalau suaraku perasaan gini-gini aja deh. Suaranya apa ini yang kekecilan? Suara gamenya atau suaraku? Suaraku ya? Oh. Oke, aku kecilin lagi deh suara ininya. Oke, there you go. Our houses had a mind of its own. The creaky old mind of a building that had been seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. Buat ininya ya, sedikit premis cerita. Wait, ini auto. Oke. Sedikit ini kalian bisa baca nggak apa-apa. Kita udah ini kan ya, sudah baca pas itu bareng-bareng prolognya. Jadi aku bakal ngeringkas buat beberapa orang yang baru datang dan baru gabung dan mungkin belum nonton bagian satunya pas itu. Pas kita main intronya doang. Jadi waktu itu kita sampai di prolog itu bercerita tentang seorang anak laki-laki namanya siapa ya, lupa kalau nggak salah. Who it was again? I forgot. Ini episode 1. There we go.
Убери книгу немедленно.
Oh my god!
Раз говорила, не читай за столом, вредно.
Ada voice actingnya, let's go!
Весь.
Oh! Yes! Oh! Russian! Oh my god, ada voice actingnya, oke. Rusia ya, dalam bahasa Rusia. Dan oke ya, yang baru datang, ceritanya ini mengambil tempat di sebuah desa di Rusia. Dan ceritanya keluarga ini baru aja pindah rumah karena ada sedikit masalah di tempat kerjanya ininya ya, bapaknya. Sheesh, yeah, sheesh. Uta, halo Jordan, welcome to the stream, selamat malam. Cookie Channel, punten. Dan buat ininya, apa namanya, pemeran utama kita ini cowok yang ini ya, di meja makan ini cowok. Dan adenya Olya namanya kalau nggak salah. Ya, jadi yang kita bakal mainin ini ntar, kita bakal ngendaliin si cowok, si yang pakai kacamata ini. Nah, mereka ini baru pindah ke sebuah desa kecil di Rusia. Dan untuk kondisi rumahnya sendiri itu nggak terlalu bagus ya, dalam tanda kutip. It's a broken home kind of thing. That's why Kumiko, wait, you play it again? No, this is the full game, so we're gonna see more of it. It's like the last one that I played, it's like it was like the prologue, the demo, I guess. It was the free version of it, and I bought it, this one. I bought the full version, and so yeah, we're gonna see more of the tiny bunny. Dan ya, si cowok, anak laki-laki ini broken home ceritanya. Jadi apa ya, keluarganya mereka ini nggak terlalu akur karena emang ada beberapa masalah. Dan itu bakal dijelasin nanti sama gamenya. Dan ternyata di apa ya, istilahnya di sebuah desa yang istilahnya tenang gini, itu ternyata ada beberapa serangkaian kasus yang menyebabkan beberapa anak di desa ini hilang gitu loh. Dan masih belum diketahui itu kenapa bisa menghilang anak-anak itu. Dan sebagai sarana pembuktian diri, pemeran utama kita ini berusaha buat menangkap kasus tadi gitu. Jadi dia berusaha buat nangkep penjahatnya gitu. Karena dia ngerasa kayak kalau misalnya dia berhasil menangkap penjahat itu, keluarganya bakal bangga sama dia dan orang tuanya bakal berhenti berantem gitu. Dan ya, kita bakal ngeliat bareng-bareng ceritanya bakal kayak gimana. Karena part 1 mungkin ada yang udah nonton, tapi ya kita harus mainin lagi karena save-saveannya nggak jadi satu. Jadi ya well, I can't wait that jumpstart. Fucking hell. Halo Bang Rio. Halo Triviki, welcome to the stream. Sorry ya, masih belum mainin game iblis nih. Oke. Kita bakal lanjutin. Bukunya kita sembunyiin. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. Adik ceweknya imut banget.
Пока не съешь, из-за стола не встанешь.
Men, voice acting apa ya, Rusia itu gue jarang banget denger. Kalau film Korea, film Rusia gue sering denger. Voice acting Rusia di game selain Call of Duty dan beberapa game lain, gue baru pertama kali denger kayak gini. It's really good, bagus banget. On the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes as if it would make the porridge disappear. Rio Ryota, halo Conan, welcome to the stream, selamat malam. Buat yang nggak bisa bahasa Inggris, gimana ya? Mungkin aku bakal ambil waktu sedikit tiap beberapa bacaan dan aku bakal jelasin sedikit premis ceritanya. Dan buat yang bisa bahasa Inggris ya, you can listen or you can read as well. Yoriota, oh Conan aku baca lagi. X-Illuminate, genrenya apa? Genrenya horror dan ya it's a visual novel. Jadi kita banyak baca dan banyak membuat pilihan di game ini. Mungkin kalau misalnya kamu tahu pernah main game Zero Escape atau mungkin game-game dating simulator yang lainnya itu kayak milih-milih pilihan gitu, itu ya kayak gitu. Endingnya bakal berbeda-beda soalnya sesuai dengan pilihan yang kamu pilih. Oliver Kego, hello, welcome to the stream, Grace ya. Hazy ancients has swelled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance began. It looked like a jellyfish from the Coast's Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. Ingat besok jangan pergi ke toilet jam ya anjing nggak salah. Ini bahasa Inggris tapi gue sering bisa diatur. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showed me with cold glare from her green eyes. Marah.
Что я говорила?
Что я говорила?
Я достану.
Anton, pemeran utamanya namanya Anton. Oke, semuanya ada voice-nya berarti ya. Oke. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this scarf on the other side of the table? Karina. Ha! That's my mom's name! Jomama? I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damn individual like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been a bit of bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under the table. I wonder, was mom afraid of the dark back then? Dubbingnya Rusian anjir, yoi. Tuh kebelet. I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her so smooth voice.
Тайга особое место, детятка.
Taiga is a special place, little girl.
Она к тебе присматривается.
It's watching you closely,
принюхивается.
sniffing you out. Man, it's creepy. Gue demen banget sama artnya gitu loh. The game is essential and terrestrial. Yes, it is.
Словно хочет понять, что ты за зверь такой.
Ini tipikal apa nenek-nenek yang ngasih apa istilahnya kayak ngasih wanti-wanti gitu ya di film-film horor biasanya.
Бросит. А будешь проказничать, схватит за бочок и утащит с собой под землю. Тут и дело с концом.
Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Ini yang dia jelasin ini, screams until late at night, without smashed dish and mutual accusation. Berarti pertengkaran antara orang tuanya itu benar-benar apa ya, kasar banget sampai ngelempar apa piring, sampai teriak-teriak malam-malam gitu. Orang tua kami dulu sangat saling mencintai. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet patiently. It was black, upholstered with a mid-cord material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. Minta iPhone itu bang, wanjeng, gue gitu. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with grey faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from the under table. Olya was done with her cookies. Gue penasaran sama suaranya si Dede, oke? Gue pengen denger. Anjir. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass.
Оля, гляди, лиса!
That was funny. Oh yeah, look, it's a fox.
Где?
What the fuck? Kawaii. Wait, kawaii. Wait, what? It look almost like those optical illusions thingies they put on the back of students' notebooks. Ya ini ya yang kalau kalian bisa lihat di tengah-tengah ini ada kayak kelihatan kayak ini ya, rubah gitu ya. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your visions a little bit and look under a certain angle.
Да не на улице, на стекле.
Kalian harus dengar suara si Dede, oke?
Смотри, вот нос, вот.
Ну-ка, доедай.
Да, да, сейчас. Я ничего не вижу.
Oh! Ah! Ah! Mame. Yes. Neneknya kayak witch, ya bener. Nggak salah sih. Itu kayak tipikal di film-film horor Indonesia, tahu nggak, kayak ada nenek-nenek datang terus kayak, nah jangan gitu, nah gitu kan. Kamu loversnya bang? Enggak. Gue lebih suka Onesan sebenarnya. Cuma apa ya? Gue gemes kalau misalnya ada yang imut-imut gitu, gue gemes sampai kayak nggak sampai kayak pingin pacaran sama Loli gitu loh. Tapi emang apa ya? Imut itu imut gitu loh. GWS. Haryo apa? It's cute. What do you mean?
Живо. Совсем немного осталось.
А, вот. Но все равно не похоже. А я говорю, похоже. Не-а.
Nya. Nya.
Похоже.
What the fuck? Oh my god. Imut kali lah anjing.
Прекратите. Ну что за дети?
Oh, maknya marah. No, I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty patterns, similar to stretched out needles, leaves keep creeping up the glass. Oh, Papa. lu tahu yang ada meme yang apa? Meme yang ada chat itu loh. Your average casual gamer gitu kan, kayak bapak-bapak yang di video itu yang kayak lagunya lucu itu loh. Jadi mirip banget anjir yang senyum itu. I have to go, but in a moment I'll be back. Alright, Grathia. Be careful on your way out. My dad entered the kitchen with long measured steps. I want to have a bird like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, come on, shove it off, it stings. This was so long ago. Halo Bang, halo Davi Firmansyah, welcome to the stream, selamat malam. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrences. Olia always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, what's the point of in all this through the wall? Berarti pas tiap kali berantem si Olia ini belum tidur ya. Si dedek kecil ini tiap kali orang tuanya berantem dia masih denger, dia masih bisa denger, dia masih bisa apa istilahnya denger teriakan-teriakan dan saling ngebentak gitu pas malam ya. Dan I don't really think it's a good thing kalau misalnya orang tua berantem. Sebaiknya kalau misalnya lu punya adik ya, kalau misalnya punya adik terus emang istilahnya orang tua lu lagi berantem, adik-adik lu suruh tidur gitu ya, biar mereka nggak denger orang tua lu lagi berantem gitu, because it's really actually traumatic kalau misalnya adik-adik lu denger. Dan ya nggak baik buat pertumbuhannya juga sih, so ya. Dan gue nggak bisa ngebayangin anak-anak yang tumbuh di lingkungan kayak gitu itu kayak gimana, so it's really crazy. Relate sekali, ya, I can relate to this too. Gue juga apa bisa relate dikit sama kondisi mereka, so yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it here, but yeah, I can relate to the two. Besok tahun baruan bareng siapa Bang? Sendirian aja sih gue sih, paling juga streaming gue. Ajak keluar ke rumah kalau nggak salah, bisa juga kalau gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya kondisinya pas malam banget gitu kan, dan kebanyakan orang tua kalau berantem ya malam gitu loh. Kalau pagi-pagi bakal didengar tetangga gitu kan. So ya, biasanya milih tempat yang sepi gitu. Kalau misalnya orang tua lu ngerti ya, maksudnya jangan nggak sampai koar-koar di luar gitu kan. So yeah, it's really just maybe it's late at night, so it's better to put your sister or your brothers to sleep. Mending kamu ajak mereka tidur atau lu temenin mereka sambil nonton film atau apa gitu biar mereka nggak denger suara bentak-bentakan. It's all for your sake, Dad will reply, for the sake of our family. I always guard every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that start with a D. D yang diartikan di sini itu divorce ya, artinya perceraian. Ya umur segini ya otomatis gak mau lah orang tuanya cerai kan. So DIVO. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families.
Да что твоя лиса? Вот у меня на окне сова.
Oh, lucunya. Mau malam mau pergi atau tetap ribut. Ya kadang ada sih event-event kayak gitu, tapi ya apa ya? Yang istilahnya yang paling keras sampai bener-bener kayak gini gitu, kayak ngelempar barang, mukul, bahkan mungkin main tangan gitu kan, itu biasanya malam, nggak bakal siang-siang, pagi atau siang bolong gitu, karena ya kalau misalnya masih punya malu pasti ya mereka nggak bakal gitu juga. Mau kalau gue misalnya rumah nenek gue, untung rumah nenek lu deket gitu ya.
Опять ты со своей совой.
Oh, papa, oh yeah, papa. Suaranya deep banget anjing.
Так ты же вчера мне верил.
You said you believe me just yesterday.
Никто ключи от машины не видел? Вроде оставлял на подоконнике.
Вроде. Вроде оставлял, вроде нет. Вроде взрослый мужчина, отец двоих детей, а вроде...
Mulai saling menyerang.
Перестань, пожалуйста, Карина. Дай мне спокойно собраться.
В корзине твои ключи, возле телефона.
Огромное тебе человеческое спасибо. Антон, ешь быстрее, а то как мученик сидишь.
А сова
Не было там никакой совы.
была. Глазюки огромные. Во, и светятся.
Man, oh yeah, it's cute. Here, yes. Oke, kita bakal sedikit potong di sini. Kita bakal showcase ada sedikit hadiah dari Mbak Uno. Cosplay Olia. Yes. Cosplay Olia dari Mbak Uno. Mbak Uno bisa muncul lagi sekali lagi mungkin ya. So mungkin kalau kalian dari Twitterku atau mungkin dari Twitternya Mbak Unu, kalian udah lihat cosplaynya. But yeah, we're gonna take a look at Mbak Unu's cosplay. Kita bakal ngeliat cosplay Mbak Unu sebagai Olia. Papa voice is nice. Yes, it's fucking nice. Oke. Tantang. Tantang. Mari kita zoom lagi ya untuk ininya. Pup. Yo, look at these boy. Diketawain sama Mbak Rin, gimana, parah banget. Kawaii sho. Mo, Taiko. So bro, what's up Soles? Welcome to the stream. Ya, ini cosplay dari Mbak Unu. Yang mau cek Twitternya Mbak Unu bisa dicek di bawah, di description di bawah. Dan kalau misalnya kalian tertarik buat ngedukung Mbak Unu, ya bisa dicek traktirnya Mbak Unu. Iya anjir. Ya, buat detailnya bisa mungkin cek di sosial medianya. Soalnya aku belum dapat sosial medianya juga, so ya. Arin mah udah biasa liatnya. Parah banget. Ya, jadi ini cosplay dari Mbak Unu. Itu di kolom komentar ada ini ya. Di live chat ada Mbak Unu. Itu yang warnanya biru-biru itu yang Miku ya. Ketawa lagi. Yose-san konbanwa. Ya, itu ada orang tua saya yang gambar saya di bawah. Itu ada Zen. Welcome to the stream, Mak. So ya, sedikit showcase. But it's fucking good actually. What the hell? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Aku padamu, Mbak. Simpingnya banyak banget ya sepertinya, mulai bertumbuh. Oke, udah mulai ini ya. Udah mulai sedikit sidetrack, tapi ya, yes, it was Mbak Unus cosplay of Olia dari game ini. Mirip banget kan ya? So, yes. Mungkin abis ini Mbak Unu bakal ngupload lagi lebih banyak, but untuk sekarang kita bakal lanjutin lagi gamenya. So ya, makasih buat pada ini ya yang mau cek Mbak Unu, silahkan cek di Twitter. Alright, let's go again. Olia sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, the size of an apple each.
В прошлом году Бабай в шкафу, сейчас сова.
Oke, yang nggak ngerti Babai, aduh saya track lagi. Babai ini Baba Yaga ya. Misalnya kalian nggak tahu Baba Yaga itu apa, Baba Yaga artinya boogeyman. Boogeyman ini apa? Shadow man kalau dalam bahasa Inggrisnya. Dia biasanya muncul di cerita-cerita buat nakut-nakutin anak biar mereka cepat tidur. Shadow man ini biasanya berbentuk ya bayangan dan bentuknya kayak manusia gitu dengan tangan yang panjang dan jangkung banget, dan ya biasanya muncul di lemari, muncul di jendela, dan ya itu biasanya bikin orang-orang takut, apalagi anak kecil ya. Dan ya mereka bakal cepet tidur kalau misalnya diceritain gitu, apalagi buat anak-anak Rusia ya. Dan ada beberapa film lah yang angkat Baba Yaga dalam khususnya apa ya istilahnya buat ini ya, film-film horor ya, Baba Yaga, boogeyman. Kalau misalnya film action ada John Wick yang disebut juga Baba Yaga karena dia ya you know the reason. Baba Yaga kalau Indonesia kayak bebek gombal, iya suka nyulik anak. Oke, kita lanjut lagi.
Я же видела!
Malam Jumat main horor, yoi. Udah mau ini soalnya ya, udah mau tahun baru.
А ты не думала подружиться с ней, нет? Вымышленными мышами покормить, например?
Не подначивай ребенка. Просто мала еще, и спать одна боится.
Olia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor cracked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Marah dia. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just nodded in reply and left, swinging with the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. Oke, adanya nonton Little Mermaid ya guys. Lebih horror boogeyman daripada Baba Yaga, kan sama mak. It was stored on the incredible worn out cassette tape which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Yang pasti tidak dilem ya. Untuk relationship sepertinya tidak bisa dilem. Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olia had trouble sleeping ever since we moved into this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump into the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped take her mind off all the troubles we had in the move and our parents. And then Olia said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fees. Olia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect from my new school. There were a couple days left before the beginning of new term. My imagination drove along twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. Pemeran utamanya bakal ini ya, karena dia pindah rumah, dia pindah ke sebuah desa kecil gini, otomatis sekolahnya juga pindah kan, dan ini bakal mulai masuk di sekolah barunya, jadi dia agak nervous kayaknya ya. Baba Yaga and Boogeyman is different buddy, it's the same, it's a Shadow Man. Here, supernatural being who appears as the form. Who appears a different ferocious-looking old woman in Slavic culture. Baba Yaga lived in a hut, usually described as standing on chicken legs. Baba Yaga may help or hinder those encounter her or seek her out. She may play a maternal role and a reason for forest wildlife. And then we got the boogeyman. See, used to frighten children into good behavior. Dan boogeyman gak punya appearance yang apa? Punya wujud yang tetap gitu loh. Dan dia tuh bakal menyesuaikan dengan apa yang dibilangin sama tiap-tiap rumah gitu. Jadi bakal ya sama jadinya. My imagination through long twisting hallways balik lagi. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. No, Baba Yaga like witch and boogeyman is shadow. They're used to, soalnya boogeyman itu juga bisa berubah jadi witch gitu loh. Dan kebanyakan apa folklore itu diambil mirip-mirip gitu loh. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes playing inside those holes. It wasn't as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares filled my icy sneers, made me shiver from the head too. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, someone with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of a monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number," or "Anton is not around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the hordes of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill and mumbled with the TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day, its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied with noisy draft. Rumah-rumah kayak gini tuh bikin orang ilfeel, tau nggak? Kayak masuk duduk di kursinya aja itu kalau nggak nengok kanan kiri itu nggak enak gitu loh. Harus selalu nengok kanan kiri gitu kan. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody, and then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed with the sound of the wind of the creaking old house and my thoughts too. Ingat anime AOT Final Season Part 2 update Senin, iya. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold snowy night, right? Oke, dia mimpi ada suara musik di luar jendelanya. Oke. Someone was dancing in the field. Nah, kanan kosong, kiri kosong, kanan lagi bah. Ya anjir, itu kayak film apa? Ketika iblis menjemput sama pengabdi setan, goblok banget. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. Ini ada beruang, ada serigala, ada rubah, ada pemain ini ya, seruling sama burung. They jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Besok stream gak bang? Kayaknya iya deh. Suddenly, the music had stopped. Okay, mereka pada ngeliat ke sini. The dancing shadows froze in place and I could swear pressed me with their eyes. One of the shield hosts emitted powder from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Whoa! It cleared on the squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. Beh mangat si Yoi. They saw me. Kaget geraknya cepat. Yoi. Shock. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guests move and scrap around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with a blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin door. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she told me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to the squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words.
На острове Буяне, в синем океане, стоит домовина, в ней сало и глина, волосы седые, чертям еда, раба Божьего Антона не тронут никогда. Бесы забудут дорогу к дому.
I will leave this house must.
Мертвые к мертвым, живые к
Ashes to
живому.
ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. Ini scene ini nggak muncul di game pas intronya ya. Kita nggak bisa ngelihat Anton di sini pas itu. Bye Ryota, mau nenangin diri dulu. Tadi kena jump scare Devor sama Dread Out. Ntar gue balik lagi. Oke, bye bye. Semoga cepat sembuh ya dari shocknya. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains swing around like a hanged man. And then the night dosed me with no portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as he was looking for someone.
Мертвое к мертвому, живое к живому.
I hugged my knees, placed my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness, and then... The doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear, my wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you will see. The door was wide open. The darkness breathed inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. Oh, what? Excuse me, you don't say that! Tony! Oh, no, I remember. This is the little sister. I think. My abdomen tightened, my chest rose a red to his friend's skin. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me,
Ты спишь, Тоша?
Tosha, you asleep? Little sister! Tidak aku takut, help me. Hah? Gimana Kenma? Welcome to stream by the way Kenma. Yang mau ngecek channelnya Kenma sama Ryoku juga ya, bisa dicek langsung di nama mereka ada ya, ada Ryoku channel sama di Yuzuki Kenma SK8. I almost screamed from relief.
Оля, я не сплю. Что случилось?
Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry.
опять прилетела и пялится на меня. Прогони ее, Тоша. Прогони, пожалуйста.
Kenapa dia manggil gua Tosha? Nama pemeran utamanya itu Anton, tapi kenapa manggilnya Tosha? What does Tosha mean? Okay, I love play horror game like this. Yeah, it's fun.
Я так боюсь.
Sumpah artnya bagus banget.
Это был сон, глупая. Не пугайся. Сны не кусаются. Никто тебя не обидит.
All your soul. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself?
У меня есть идея. Пойдем к тебе в комнату, видик посмотрим. Спящую красавицу, например. Тебе же нравится этот мультик?
Почему у спящей красавицы принца у меня эта страшная птица?
That question took me by surprise.
Ладно, давай посмотрим Золушку.
My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What stood at me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging onto the window and couldn't be fooled by Cranman's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with the face of lard and long ashen hair.
Тоша, ты идешь?
Yes, I'm coming.
Да, сейчас.
Yes, just a moment. Whoa! Whoa! Fuck you! I knew it was coming and I'm still... Ah! Are you fucking kidding me? Gue tahu itu bakal muncul, tapi gue lupa timingnya kapan anjing. Streamnya nggak 1080 bang, nggak, cuma sampai 720. Soalnya kalau 1080 harus ngesetting ulang lagi, males jadinya. Aku kalau misalnya game-game ringan masih bisa ya, tapi kalau Apex dan lain-lain di 1080-in itu berat banget. Brengsek. Gue tahu itu bakal keluar, tapi gue tetap kaget gara-gara gue lupa timingnya kapan gitu kan. Sumpah mana jam di rumah berhitung kan timingnya. Bagus banget ya. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guest could come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. Itu siapa? Yang mana? Yang emaknya? Yang perempuan tadi emaknya? My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet. Under the table. Behind the curtains where Olya always hides. I felt like the kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen lowered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused.
Здравствуйте.
The senior officer, who wore grim expressions, nodded.
Тут мальчик вчера потерялся. Вовой зовут. Глянь, пожалуйста. Ты его не видел?
The policeman held out a photograph to me. Serigala itu Baba Yaga kah? Masih belum tahu kalau itu. Yang pasti di prolognya serigala itu tadi juga keluar. Dan gue lupa timingnya kapan. Jadi gue juga ikutan kaget gitu loh. Tapi gue udah tahu dia bakal keluar gitu. Emang guanya aja yang lupa kapan keluarnya. Artnya sumpah enak banget dilihat. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile.
Нет.
Нет.
Точно? Посмотри внимательнее.
Где мне его видеть? Я тут никого не знаю, да и из дома-то почти не выхожу.
А может, видел в окно?
Да. У тебя ведь окна на лес.
The window.
Нет, не видел.
Ясно.
He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before this one reason.
Вы, кстати, как на новом месте? Попривыкли уже?
Понемногу, только вот дочка маленькая по городу скучает.
Скучает, значит. Из местных вас никто не беспокоит?
Все хорошо, спасибо.
The policeman pierced through me one more time with his great eyes. My head started spinning.
Может, вам помочь как-то?
I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy, and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner.
Я вот стою и думаю, ты, малец, на племеша моего похож. Шустрый парнишка твоих лет, с такими же окулярами. Все книжками зачитывался, детективами.
Gua kalau disuruh milih mau belajar bahasa Rusia atau Jerman, gue kayaknya bakal pilih bahasa Rusia karena suaranya entah kenapa lebih apa ya, istilahnya lebih enak didengar daripada Jerman, entah kenapa. Jerman kan kayak kasar gitu, kayak suara tenggorokan dikeluarin semua gitu ya. Kalau ini kayak lidahnya itu kaku banget, and suara hidung gitu. It's really, I don't know, there's something about Russian accent and the language. Apa ya, aksen Rusia sama bahasa Rusia itu tak kenapa agak enak gitu didengar sama di kayak ketika lu ngobrol sama orang dan ada aksen Rusianya itu, it's really, I don't know, it's really cute, I guess.
Когда летом погостить приезжал, говорит, что в школу милиции мечтает поступить. Как я, хотел людям помогать. Смекаешь?
Sama milih Rusia juga kan lah Jerman karena jenis kelamin di barang. Wait, what? I felt uncomfortable as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me.
Ох, ребятушки, сидите-ка вы лучше дома. Не ввязывайтесь ни во что. Жизнь сейчас совсем другая пошла.
Mom interjected in a cold voice.
Мне ли не знать?
Ну да ладно. Ты, Антон, в каком классе учишься?
В 6-м.
Друзей-то на новом месте еще не завел?
Пока нет. Я только после каникул в школу пойду.
Тогда вот вам на всякий случай мой номер. Звоните, если узнаете.
The policemen were gone along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. Playtime-nya ini berapa ini bang? Gak tahu kalau playtime-nya ya. Kalau misalnya 100% ending sih harusnya lebih dari 8 jam ya. Kalau misalnya mungkin apa ya? Kalau misalnya cuma 8 jam itu termasuk dengerin ya, termasuk dengerin, baca sama istilahnya milih-milih pilihan itu ya mungkin sekitar 8 jaman. Tapi kalau mau full semua ending didapetin kayaknya bakal makan waktu lebih banyak ya. I wonder what it was like for him being all alone there. For some reason I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? Poor. And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually?
Мам, а Вова этот в нашем лесу заблудился?
Выходит, что так. Бедный ребенок.
I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was spitting off paint from the windowsill. Di bahasa Jerman sama Prancis barangnya ada jenis kelaminnya antara feminim atau maskulin soalnya. Makanya oke. Berarti kalau misalnya barangnya untuk maskulin itu jadi beda lagi ya anunya namanya. Atau mungkin kayak jumlahnya beda gitu, berubah gitu ya. Pinche internet. Hey, it's alright bro. Take your time. Hi, I'm back. Welcome back, Gracia. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels of the Black Katie series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. I don't know, but they have their own gender, so okay, fuck that shit. Buat yang nggak tahu, Black Kitty series itu sebuah series kayak mungkin kalau kalian pernah baca KKPK, kecil-kecil punya karya, dan series detektif gitu di KKPK, itu Black Kitty itu sama kayak gitu, sebuah series kecil yang ceritanya tentang detektif kecil gitu, buat anak kecil, emang diperuntukkan buat anak-anak. They look for clues, spy on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solve any complicated case. They became local celebrities and made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policeman footprints that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Oya will be so happy. And not only Oya, mom and dad too. Maybe they will even forget about their quarrels for a while. Nah, ini dimana bagian ketika dia mikir bahwa kalau misalnya dia berhasil menemukan penjahatnya, orang tuanya bakal jadi apa ya, baikan lagi gitu loh. Coba lihat Loik Survival Bang, dijelasin. Hah, apanya? Oh, ini masalah French itu ya, Prancis sama ini ya. I don't know, but they had I fantasized about buying Oya a Tamagotchi and getting cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. Kinder Joy anjing. Makanan mahal. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think my dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was accountant's jobs like. They earn money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, mom and dad barely had money to afford sweets, and dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Oya. Jadi mungkin penyebab utama dari pertengkarannya orang tuanya itu gara-gara bapaknya di PHK mungkin ya. Atau mungkin ada masalah lain. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. Ah, I couldn't wait to go out looking for
Пойду
clues.
погуляю.
Ага, сейчас.
Mom, why?
Чтобы потом милиционеры с твоей фотографией по домам ходили. Лес вон какой густой. А если мальчика звери дикие утащили? Или того хуже?
Even worse echoed through the hallway.
Да я рядом буду. В лес не пойду.
Что я тебе сказала? Мне дважды повторять. Лучше портфель собери или соли поиграй.
The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates it when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on a freshly sharpened axe. And Oya can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Baba is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on the dim lamp so she would see there was nothing but the cobwebs, dust stools and scratch balls. She didn't even believe me. And I like to hide in the closet and listen to Oya count outside 1, 2, 3 with her hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. This cross had seen so many people come and go in this house. It was black as if it absorbed all human sin from the long years it was hanging on the ceiling. After Grandma died, Mom was going to take it off and hang her horseshoe in its place as a lucky charm. But she cut herself with the cross-sharp corner and almost fell from the step ladder. Dad called it a sign from above and had ordered the cross to be left alone in its rightful place. Mom's packtop, a family relic. Packtop itu gasing ya guys. Mom played with it when she was little, then she gifted it to me. Olia was next in the succession line. The toy belonged to her now. She stared at the dancing spindle as if it could show her something, a fairy tale or maybe even our future. Now even my little sister was a bit too old for the old squeaky packtop. Should I lie to Mom? Hey, we got Monoko, Foimela. Itu keju craft kayaknya ya. Ada jeruk nipis juga tuh. I took a peek at Mom's crossword. She would get very angry when someone gave her advice. So me and Dad faked knowing the answer and being about to reveal it all the time. I smiled at the fleeting doubt. Vertical 9 letters, the name of the Philippines deity that protected them from viper bites, had the nickname of the Lord of Flies. Second letter is E. It's Beelzebub, I think. Beelzebub itu 9 huruf ya? B-E-E-L-Z-E-B-U-B. Ya, Beelzebub. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home.
Мам, там что-то с телевизором случилось. Картинка какая-то тусклая, и экран весь в полосах.
Mom's face became visibly distorted.
Без ножа меня режешь. Дострелялся в уток своих.
What? Lie. Yes, I'm gonna lie. Oh, look, survival. Aku cuma tahu Rusianya tuh grammarnya agak bolak-balik lagi sih, man.
Говорила же, посадите мне кинескоп своей приставкой. Где мы теперь мастера найдем в дыре этой, а?
Может быть, просто настройки сбились? Сходи, посмотри, пожалуйста.
Нормально же работал с утра.
Из-за снегопада, наверное, неполадки.
Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. It's time to run! There she run. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remember my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around holding hands. Kalau bahasa Jerman, LHR sama Ir artinya sudah beda, bruh. In the light of the day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. A distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and the barely audible whispers in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest penny stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than a scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before they departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, and spent time together, almost like it was all was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke out, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who though? From the people with that cold eyes who sometimes visited us in a previous home. Wah, ada rentenirnya berarti ya. Ada orang yang nagih utang. The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground in everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to watch our upcoming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered around the snow like a fat snakes. Sumpah, artinya bagus banget. I'm back. Welcome back, bro. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the eyes. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fancies. The art, yes, it's beautiful. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knit mitten. It looked like it looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show, The Street of Broken Lights. Yang nggak tahu, The Street of Broken Lights ini sebuah film telenovela lama, dan ya, filmnya tentang seorang polisi gitu, Kapten Casanova, yang ya intinya detektif gitu ceritanya. Dan telenovela, jadi ya agak sinetron gitu. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this meet and help them find the lost boy? Vuva! I heard a distant shout like it came from the river. As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vuva resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Di mana sih, kelihatan kah? Enggak kan ya? Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Hah? Dia nunduk ke bawah gitu. Mana anjir? Its blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imaginations. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. Yo! Ho, ho, ho. Okay, I shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. Ini udah juga di prolognya dan aku lupa timingnya kapan, so yeah, I still got me anyway. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung, my heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket and I'd sprint, but nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Take it! I decided to take the lonely mitten from this branch. Yo! Sheesh! Kedengaran seperti Vuva. Kedengarannya seperti Vuva. Kedengarannya seperti Vuva. I stepped toward the prickly trees and tried to climb my print. It didn't budge. I pulled harder, the branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. I froze in place, stirring my palms in disgust. Bread. The sound of cracking branches invited silence. I didn't have to think twice before running away. Run, bitch! Run! Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of the reasons it gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it, don't stop! I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of a hungry beast rather than a single one. Their nostrils stuck in the freezing air that sensed my fear. Two giant things flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing, a hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from the twisted pines, from the unbearable windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like a quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone, my foot slipped out of the hole and my soles were on the hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump and from there, around to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. That house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my horror, I still managed to notice the claw marks. As if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was living. The heartbeat in my ears was so much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard? Mom had locked the door. Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it was obediently gave away. Checkpoint. Ini rasanya kalau orang main Left 4 Dead terus udah di depannya apa? Save exit gitu. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. The art is good, but the BGM is also yes. Apa ya? Bener-bener berhasil ngangkat apa ya? Ambience buat intense banget lagi suspense gitu kerasa. Porch planks creak as my pushers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I grit my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, weaving it between the bolts. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than the blankets. Whizzing breath reached into the house and crushed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she was always used when talking to Dad.
Что конкретно тебе не ясно в просьбе не хлопай дверьми?
Я случайно.
I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it the last bit of strength I had left in my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. Aww. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow.
Ты где был? Я тебе что говорила, а? Чтобы ты дома сидел.
Aww, Mama.
Я и для тебя пустое место.
I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her light when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. I can relate to this. I can relate to this so much. I have this kind of problem, but I never actually like want to hug my mother. Like I hug her and then it's over. Like I have to let go. I'm a big man now. I can do this myself. But yeah, I love my mom. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes silent like steel, her voice rang out.
У отца сигареты пропали. Признавайся, ты их стащил? Курить бегаешь?
Там за мной кто-то гнался. Я думал, меня...
I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me, sniffed my clothes like a bee searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand.
Гляди, вон же они. Прямо у забора.
My heart started thumping as if it became prey once again and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs! The small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monster that lived on the edge of the forest.
Божечки, ты их испугался? Да они сами тебя перепугаются, Антон.
Они гнались за мной, словно за зайцем. А вдруг они бешеные?
The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them.
Что если они нападут на Олю?
Мам,
Вот бы твой отец их всех перестрелял.
мама, они живые.
А что? Ты уж определись, они тебе друзья или враги?
Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. Yes! Shoot them dead! Kill them! Kill the dogs! No, don't kill the dogs. They're cute. I like dogs. Aku lebih suka anjing daripada kucing, to be honest, but cats are cute, so aku suka yang berbulu sih. Mamalia yang berbulu itu imut soalnya, biasanya kayak hamster, kelinci, anjing, terus kucing. It's really cute.
Не маленький ведь уже.
Monyet. Monyet juga punya rambut sih. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this? Man. Of course. A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. That's my trump card as a detective. I heard to present this clue to my mom.
Мам, смотри, это Вовина варежка. Ну того, про которого утром милиция спрашивала. Она вся в крови, на дереве висела. Вон там, могу показать. Давай в милицию скорее позвоним, как нас участковый просил. Мам, гляди! Фу!
A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto my mom's contorted face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream but the image slips away. Hi, hello, Silver King. Welcome to the stream. Selamat malam. Good evening. Stop at this moment.
Оля тебя услышит, с ума сойдет. Она и так не спит, на все подряд жалуется. Еще и ты со своими шуточками.
At that moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment.
Иди сюда, паникер. Да не стой столбом. Вот, таблетку на. Быстро пей.
Oke, di sini kita diberitahu bahwa si Anton ini punya penyakit yang harus mewajibkan dia buat minum obat tiap beberapa jam sekali. A golden colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell into my palm.
Я уже пил сегодня, за завтраком.
Попререкайся мне еще. Сказала дома сидеть, нет же. Был бы отец, выпорол. Сейчас же выпей, а то ночью не уснешь. Тебе ведь в школу завтра.
So I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with a similar alpha water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Fulva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten after all, just like the forest monsters and Olia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect or my exerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing my own indifference along with it.
Антон, выпил? Можешь, если захочешь. Раздевайся. Уснул, что ли?
Нет, мам, просто задумался.
Crispy, yes, crispy. Wait, I haven't changed my setting actually. Bentar, aku ganti setting dulu. I'll change my setting. There you go.
Интересно, о чем же?
Так, глупости всякие.
Mom scrutinized me with a suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son and not at some doppelganger that came from the forest.
Точно все нормально? У тебя такое лицо было, когда милиционер про окно спросил.
Все нормально, мам.
Хорошо.
It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored, fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had different tastes. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olia was done watching her favorite Little Mermaid episode and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Lagos' voices died down. I walked past Olia's bedroom and stepped into my own. My Triceratops figurine. I know about all sorts of dinosaurs, the Velociraptors, Afrofinators, Hypsilophodons. I remember going to the movies to see Jurassic Park back when we still lived in the city and taking pictures with the T-Rex in the hall. It turned its head and roared. It was awesome. And next to it was a robotic transformer. I love this cartoon. When a jet fighter speeds up into the intro amongst the sound of blasted fire, you know your next 70 minutes will surely be amazing. Zentradi Space Station is captured. Rick, get ready for battle. Okay. Poster, gambaran. I've dreamed of becoming an artist since Dad bought me my first comic book. Fly magazine was the coolest. I especially liked the big space related edition with alien monsters and that fun episode about the gender. I started drawing all kinds of stuff since that day, and I seem to be getting pretty good at it. One of my letters even got published in Fly once. Maybe someday they will even publish my comic. Monsters, Ghosts, and UFOs. The Encyclopedia of Paranormal Phenomenon from Russman Publishing. I've learned about the Loch Ness monsters, Medusa Gorgon, and Bigfoot from there. Oya is always scared of the book. She could barely handle sifting through the monsters and alien sections with me, but the middle part, when they started to talk about ghosts, really freaked her out. I even remember hunting ghosts after I read that book. I measured the distance between its items on my table every evening, and checked if they moved due to some supernatural force come the morning. They didn't. But to be honest, what I was expecting to meet Casper the ghost. The forest didn't look as grim during the day. Entangled tree branches in the distance and the snowy field between our houses and the forest brought sleepiness to my eyes. But sometimes, I have to go, my internet is failing a lot. It's okay, Grathia, it's alright, bro, don't worry about it. Bye to anyone, adios amigo, good luck. But sometimes I would still catch myself looking in the window at the icy treetops instead of doing my homework. Open. One of the drawers was empty. I hit the midden there. This simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat on the bed, and then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls like a pair of sails. Halo Bang Ryota, halo Rizky Mandavata, welcome to the stream, selamat malam. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck into my hidden visitor. It reminded me of burial sheets.
Оля,
Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried up lips.
Оля, очень смешно.
The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. Badum badum beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. Wah mantap main game horror di Malzum. Yoi. Biar seram. For a second I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking at without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains.
Попался!
Paposha! Yes, little sister. Men, imut banget sumpah. Senyumnya ini loh, men.
Да я сразу понял, что это ты.
A blindingly bright halo lit up from the oldest head with the resetting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad says it's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light, woven child.
А я все видела.
Men, adanya imut banget sumpah anjing.
Да ну,
Off dulu Bang Rio. Oke, Excellent Minute. Makasih udah mampir ya. Semoga istirahatmu menyenangkan, I guess. Istirahat yang bener, yang berkualitas, biar besok pagi bisa bangun cepat. Karena besok masih hari Jumat gitu loh. Wah, Rizky mampir juga. Yoi men, Rizky juga datang.
Что ты спрятал?
She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice.
ничего, просто...
Olya ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked,
Ты что-то украл и теперь прячешь?
"Fuck." Imut banget anjing.
Ты вор?
Что? Глупая. Ничего я не крал.
A clear image came to mind, that maiden hanging from the tree branch. A clear image came to mind, that maiden hanging from the tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind the black trees. Olya could be selfish and stubborn when she was wanted.
Покажи тогда.
Поклянись, что никому не скажешь. Тогда покажу.
Sering lihat kamu bohong, kamu pasti pindah stream kan? Pakai 2 device nonton 2 stream aku. Parah. Parah banget. Gak boleh gitu Rizky, gak boleh buka kartu, kasihan.
Клянусь маминым сердцем.
An oath she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we fought.
Не говори так.
Olya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, looking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Olya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple man, but some sort of extinct creature.
Это чья-то варежка?
She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw.
Один мальчик потерял. И сам потерялся. Теперь понимаешь, как опасно гулять в лесу, особенно детям?
Ему, наверное, там очень холодно. Его найдут?
Обязательно. Участковый по домам ходит, всем фотографию его показывает.
Gue pengen nyoba main game yang dubbingnya bahasa Arab, tau nggak? Apa ya, kayak game kayak gini gitu yang ada voice acting Arabnya gitu kan, sama kayak lagunya Attack of Titan yang dijadiin bahasa Arab itu. Yang Requiem itu. Olya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window.
А почему он по домам ходит, а не по лесу? Боится?
The question caught me off guard.
Милиционеры ничего не боятся. И лес они прочесали.
Yeah, right, flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness cold and whispers of icy trying to swell? If that's the case, how did they miss the men? Or did it appear later for me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. Udah denger lagunya Demon Slayer Arab version Bang Ryota? Belum gua kayaknya.
Если я сам найду пропавшего мальчика, нам, может, награду дадут. Кучу всякого, как в поле чудес. Клёво же.
Olya wasn't listening to me. She was bursting into the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her.
А что, если эта сова его утащила?
Ерунда. Не может сова поднять человека. Но вот что...
I was speaking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain.
Ты в лес не суйся. Мне кажется, он какой-то... Как бы сказать... Проклятый, что ли?
Как в сказке?
Нет, скорее, как на той страшной кассете, что родители прячут.
Olya shivered and stole a glance at the window.
Я видела, как ты убегал. За тобой кто-то гнался?
Нет, просто, чтобы мама не волновалась, спешил домой.
As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile, it was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone.
Хорошо тебе. Меня вот мама не пускает даже на крыльцо. Как принцесса в башне сижу. Никуда не могу выйти. Так и умру тут от скуки.
Rambutnya bisa putih gitu ya, dan albino mungkin ya.
Не придумывай.
Man, adanya lucu banget sumpah.
От скуки еще никто не умирал. У тебя же есть я и мультики, а мама с папой скоро помирятся.
Знаешь, что бы я загадала на следующий день рождения?
Kakaknya baik banget anjir. It's really good to see something like this.
Чтобы родители тоже в детей превратились. И мы бы все вместе играли, как раньше.
Ага. А если бы они стали размером с жука, то мы бы их в спичечный коробок посадили.
Тоша, пойдем Аладдина смотреть. Coba kita bandingin ya. Ini kan udah gede banget ya, sama cosplay yang tadi. Cosplaynya Mbak Unu. Mumpung lagi gini kan gede kan, jadi kelihatan. I mean, aduh, salah geser. I mean, look at this. It actually look the same. Coba dengerin Bang Rio itu sama nengkatnya kayak OT Arab. Ya kah? Anjir. Ntar deh kalau misalnya itu. Man, look at this. It's actually good. What the hell? Okay, back to the game. Yang mau aku ingetin lagi ya, yang mau ngecek cosplayannya Mbak Unu bisa dicek di ini, apa namanya, di Twitternya Mbak Unu. Linknya di bawah ya. Foto yang lain Gan. Oh iya ya, wait. Ganti foto.
Du-du-du-du-du. Ada banyak soalnya guys fotonya. Wow, they're really cute. Yes, they are really cute. Okay. Soalnya kan ini lebih gede gitu kan, jadi lebih bagus buat di ini. Gamenya maksudnya lebih gede. Oke, don't get the wrong idea please. Gamenya lebih gede maksudnya. Oke, ini tadi yang ini ya. Yang tadi yang ini. Terus kita punya ada lagi. Dede. Papa. Iya. Mirip banget anjir, what the fuck. Dan you got this. Ini semua Mbak Unu ngikutin ini ya, ngikutin pose dari gamenya ya. Tadi kan ada pose yang ini juga nih, yang this one. Yes, yoi. Yes, balik lagi yang mau ngecek cosplaynya Mbak Unu bisa dicek di link di bawah, ada Twitternya. Alright, balik lagi. Fatigue won over with desire to be a bad little sister. I was washed over by some sort of genius apathy. Itu cewek apa Itu cewek apa cewek? Waduh. Bisa dicek sendiri ya, linknya ada di bawah, bisa dipencet Twitternya ya.
Вымотался я. Что-то не хочется.
Mbak Unu bisa jadi apapun yang kamu mau. Bisa jadi waifu, bisa jadi husbando gitu ya.
Ну пойдем. Мне скучно одной, а мама занята все время. Можно выбрать другой мультик, который ты еще не видел. Да я все наши кассеты наизусть знаю. А вот и не все. Ты Питера Пэна не видел. Помнишь, ты уснул на середине? А там потом такое. Ну пойдем.
Pajom.
Давай попозже. Рассказать тебе, чем все закончилось? Утром расскажешь. Утром не захочу. Придумала.
Ah, yes, this one.
Нет, Оль. Тогда нарисуй мне динозавра. Оля, блин. Нарисуй. Да оставь ты меня в покое!
Oh, I blurted it out without thinking, and I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was sitting with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying.
Ладно, уболтала. Давай смотреть мультики. Уже не хочу.
I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head.
Пойдем.
Nade. Dipat-pat guys.
Питера Пэна посмотрим.
Penasaran Olya dubeng atau Jepang bakal gimana? Dua. Kalau Inggris sama Jepangnya perfect, gua kayak oh let's go boy. Tapi ini gamenya emang game Rusia sih, jadi nggak kaget kalau misalnya mereka limitnya di Rusia doang.
Ага, ты опять уснешь. Не усну, обещаю. А потом я тебе целого трицератопса нарисую. Ура!
City Pops. Olya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas and shining smile returned to her face. Olya-chan!
Давай ты
пока кассету перемотаешь, а я у мамы попрошу сгущенки с хлебом. Только утром свежий привезли, как ты любишь.
Неси, только аккуратнее, а то разольешь. Опять ругаться будут.
Спорим, не разолью. Кассета где-то в тумбочке. Поищи пока.
Olya disappeared into the doorway and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. Kita bakal nonton bareng adik kita ya berarti ya. A piggy bank. Olya is saving money for a real puppy because Dad said that taking care of him will take a lot of money. Olya's countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Olya doesn't sleep without it, and she digs her nose into its fur when she sleeps. Let's close it. Olya keeps curtains open during the day, but as soon as the twilight comes, she shuts them tight. Keselak. So she wouldn't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. Apalagi nih? Ada mesin jahit di bawah. Ada gambaran, ada lemari. The old photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. Wah, ada pantulannya ya di sini ya. Ada pantulan bayangannya. All that was left was clicking the button of the front panel. The tube warmed up and familiar white nose started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rock signal? Local TV station only rarely showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch the signal again? On the other hand, Olya had asked me to find the tape. It would be nice to disappoint her, but in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. I sifted through the shelves full of dolls and blue hippos from the Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its savvy spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. Neverland. Dapat achievement. Okay. The tape inside it is rustled with rewinding to the beginning. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images swirled in my head, me and Olya flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister is laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I noticed that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness lurked among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us and Olya.
Ты не смотришь без меня?
Aww, so cute. My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes.
Нет, садись.
Мама с папой опять ругаются.
Mom and Dad are arguing again. No.
У
Olya,
них сейчас период такой.
they're going through rough times.
Глупый какой-то период.
Rough times are lame! Yes! On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. Olya was entertained by the cartoonist dog Nana.
Может, и нам родители собачку купят?
Oh, beneran diputer loh. Captain Hook, Tinkerbell di belakangnya. Ada buayanya juga.
Ага, как же.
В Небыляндии у меня будет своя собственная собака. И кошка. И попугайчик.
Olya smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me.
А у тебя все молочные зубы выпали?
Sambil makan dong. Oh,
Конечно.
lucunya. Olya frowned deep in thought.
У Питера Пэна зубы молочные. Вдруг со взрослыми зубами тебя не пустят в его страну?
Мы что-нибудь обязательно придумаем.
Попросим папу исправить тебе возраст в паспорте.
С чего это папа будет документы подделывать?
Будет. Мама говорила, что он так делал. А я подслушала.
Смотри, уши вырастут, как у Дамба.
All I could were and touch her hair, I smiled to myself. My little sister was all I know. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan as she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. Tinkerbell sama Captain Hook udah lama banget gak nonton. Iya men, itu kan dari Peter Pan. Film Peter Pan. Peter Pan 1, Peter Pan 2 kalau nggak salah. To be honest, I also imagine myself there in a land where no one ever ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the shaking of broken plates at night. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality.
Тоша, скорее, штору задерни!
Зачем? Никто же на тебя не смотрит.
Уже темно, а когда темнеет, прилетает сова. Я боюсь.
Yabayo! Yabayo! I did my best not to look outside before towards the treetops, toward the tiger forest which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from the shadows of branches scraping the snow.
Тоша, мама думает, что я напридумывала про сову. И папа считает, что раз я маленькая, то значит врушка. А сова есть. Вот честная-пречестная, есть она. Ты же мне веришь? Что она там и каждую ночь прилетает и...
I swiftly grabbed Olya's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those
Я
qualities?
тебе верю, слышишь? Ты только родителям больше не рассказывай про сову.
Ini bisa di save kan ya? Oke, bisa di save. Aduh, aku save-nya kelamaan ya. Harusnya tadi pas kita milih buat maju atau mundur tadi. Shit.
У них и так хлопот по горло, они только рассердятся. Ты мне говори, если что случится. И в окно не смотри.
Но она хочет, чтобы я смотрела.
Перехочет. Притворись, что ее нет и не было никогда, что она выдумка, как родители говорят. Ей ждать надоест, она улетит.
Oke, kita bakal di jump scare lagi kayaknya nih. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Captain Pan was headed to London in a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Olya's eyelid had dropped. She started snorting lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Olya's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room.
Довольно баловства.
Kaget anjing, tiba-tiba masuk.
Завтра первый день в школе. Ложись, тебе надо выспаться. Не хочешь же ты, чтобы тебя все дразнили Соней?
Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound asleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just part of growing up and I cannot fully understand my own desires. The forest wall behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. It has come after all. The day I feared the most, the first day of a new school term. Kita ke sekolah, guys. Episode 2, time to play with you. New school, new teachers, and most importantly, new classmates, who I always have trouble connecting with. Like most other kids with glasses probably, I forced myself to get out of my warm bed. Dad would usually drive me to my old school, but this morning the bedroom of my parents was silent. Did they sleep in? Maybe it was a good thing. I didn't want to get the daddy's bold reputation from day one. My parents were probably still tucked in, dreaming about the good old days when everything was so simple and easy. Sweet dreams, even if far removed from reality. I silently sneaked out to the fourth floor so I wouldn't wake up anybody, especially the peacefully sleeping Olya. Oh my god, masih gelap dan lampunya masih nyala. Luar biasa sekali anjing. Berangkatnya pagi sekali kamu sepertinya ke sekolah ya. I used to play like this even in old apartment. If my soles touched the space between floorboards, it's counted as stepping into lava. The clock was spurring me on with its hands. I need to hurry, faster, faster. I was too fast, so I needed to circle the hallway once again. Boiling lava was bursting out the cracks between floorboards. I needed to watch my step to survive at any cost. Hippity hop like a frog jumping on the molehills, like a fearful bunny in a grove full of werewolves. I made a sandwich in the kitchen, served it down my throat, and drank it down with a cold tea. My appetite was as good as someone being led into the scaffold towards a guillotine. I lowered my gaze and saw that one of my feet was standing on the two floorboards at the same time. Burns the crisp, huh? I moved my foot. Disgusting little snakes written in my belly, the fear of getting hit by called nasty names. The clock clicked. I need to go. It was dark outside, fitting to an early winter morning. This darkness never fully left the house around here. I took my time tying my shoes, buttoning up the puffy down jacket, trying to delay my unpleasant exit into the semi-dark, into the unnever known. I rubbed my glasses for good luck, though I couldn't remember a single time these thick pieces of glass brought me any good fortune. Really pagi banget masih gelap ya, makanya berangkatnya pagi banget gitu loh, nggak ngerti aku. Gua dulu berangkat ke kampus ke sekolah dulu waktu masih sekolah, gua berangkatnya itu jam 5-an jam 5 pagi sih, jadi gue mungkin bisa relate, tapi emang jaraknya jauh banget gitu loh, soalnya ada sekitar 15 kiloan dari rumah ke sekolah, jadi ya gue harus bangun pagi biar gak kena macet, jadi ya gitu. Dan emang cahayanya masih ya kayak gini, masih pakai lampu gitu, dan di luar masih agak gelap. Sheesh, gelapnya. The sky was akin to a giant bruise. Kayaknya di Rusia emang paginya itu masih gelap, tau nggak? Jam 6 itu masih gelap gitu kayaknya. Kayaknya mereka berangkatnya jam 7 nggak sih? On the east side of it, a black cloud was swelling up. It licked up stars from the sky and extinguished the rising sun. Darkness was plastered all over the treetops. Save dulu. Save slotnya sampai 10. Okay. The cautious cries of birds got tangled up in the thicket. I locked the front door with a long key that I wore around my neck. My parents made me swear this nose, afraid that I, being total klutz that I am, could lose the key otherwise. The wind whisked on the other side of the gate. It invited me into my new life, toward dubious adventures, and tagged me alone like a load body, pushing me in the back. White shadows that pines throughout covered a third of the clearing. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, I hit my nose in the coat's collar. I was squeezing through the thin firebreak, my height raveled up in my back hunched over. Tall trees stood on both sides in the tiny trail. The snowy blanket rustled under my feet, and the canopy of intertwined branches above my head cut me off from the already sparse starlight. Jing, berangkatnya lewat situ anjing. Suara-suara ambiennya astaga. Iya bikin parno sumpah dah. The night had no plans of moving away from the forest. In this darkness, trees reminded me of a shaky old woman that smelled of burial earth. Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle as their mouth. If I lost focus for a moment, mold-covered witches would drag me into the forest depth. Then my parents would be walking around this part screaming my name, but the dead cannot answer the living. Sheesh! Or can they? A sense of panic was growing in my chest. I was fine with Dad carrying me into the school in his hands by now if it saved me from watching the darkness rise up in the ravines like black dough. It felt like someone jumped into the bushes behind me, so I turned around. As soon as I started walking faster, I heard snow squeak behind me. The forest took a deep breath with its giant lungs. The windfall cracked. The wind and the birds were left behind the field. Now I could only hear the forest creak. I walked, listening closely, and unseen presence grew stronger. As if someone was following me, trying to match the pace of my footsteps. I turned my head so fast it made my neck crunch. A tiny trail behind me disappeared into the darkness. Sheesh! Aku belum tahu ya, ini episode 2 jadi aku belum tahu apa-apa soal ini. Let's save it again. Fucking hell, I don't wanna die. Delete. Yes. Yes. Three branches overlap, forming a natural tunnel.
Есть здесь кто?
No, don't ask! What the fuck? The question escaped my lips and dissolved into the unending creaking sound of the wooden idols, the pines around me. Why did I think going through the forest alone was a good idea? I'm either going mad, or someone had intentionally lured me away from home. Distant lights granted me a smidgen of hope. A country road. Country road, take me home. I ran there as fast as I could, as if afraid that the trail would shrink. Cloud hands will grip me by the shoulders, turn me around, and make me look at the faces of hungry dozen citizens. In the end, nobody stopped me. I almost flew into the decrepit wooden bridge, disbelieving my luck. The bridge supports bath in the spring, tarry and ice cold. Anton, you so brave. Lewat gituan anjir. Apa ya? Dan pewarnaannya yang memilih konsep hitam putih dan sesuai dengan areanya, yaitu bersalju gitu, itu bikin lebih creepy lagi anjir. Kita nggak bisa bedain warna yang berwarna mana yang enggak gitu. I put my hands on my knees and looked up at the forest, then snorted, trying to calm my breathing. The thicket was pretending to be asleep. It looked peaceful, lifeless. The remaining part of my commute lay through a snow-laden road, illuminated by sparse lamplights. I chased away bad thoughts and ran as fast as I could, from one circle of light to another, seeking protection from electric lamps. Just like in that game where you need to be the first to proclaim "I'm protected." It's just in this case that protection was flimsy at best, with darkness so writhing outside its bounds. Then I noticed something remarkably eerie. Yo! What the fuck is that, bro? In a place where the light from an inclined lamp couldn't reach, a hairy, crooked shadow came alive with a guttural roar. It almost felt like its features distorted like its metal tools instilled fear. My eyes almost popped off their sockets as I just stood here, blinking, trying to chase away that illusion. But the shadow didn't disappear and even get closer. My insides were gripped by horror. I stepped back and almost fell into a snow pile. The black silhouette, on the other hand, straightened up and addressed me in a sweet voice.
Чего крадешься? Душу мою украсть хочешь?
Oh my god, that was crazy. Words got stuck in my throat. Who could be talking in such silky voice here between the forest and a dormant village?
Чего молчишь, несмышленыш? Язык вырвали? Слушай, а я тебе еще и нос откушу. Будешь знать, как совать его в чужие дела.
A girl stood before me, judging from the voice and the silhouette. But I couldn't even permit myself from getting scared by a girl before noticing a gaping mouth under her hood with something dangerous shiny inside. I was stunned. From the cavity of her hood, a frighteningly real fox face was staring straight at me. It's just her jaws weren't moving and her eyes weren't blinking. A mask! It's just a girl with a fox mask on. At least I wanted to think that. After a surprise like that, a nervous smile and fully crept onto my
А
face.
я просто в школу иду, а тут ты.
Что я? Никогда не видел, как лиса собаку кормит.
What? Ada anjing kecil lucu. And indeed, there was a small dog circling the girl's legs. One of the strays that were chasing me yesterday, probably. Ih, lucunya anjingnya.
Извини, я не хотел.
After hearing my voice, the dog whimpered, lowered its ears, sniffed me out, and then started wagging its tail. I guess it still smelled of bologna that I ate for breakfast. I was shifting my gaze back and forth from the dog to the girl. She didn't seem scary anymore, just weird. Shira, is that you? Ya nggak salah, mirip Shira sih. Shira Popo.
Значит, не хотел. Ну-ну. Как тебя зовут?
Меня Антон, а тебя?
А меня нет.
She's weird, definitely has a couple loose screws, but she has a nice voice. My astonishment has turned into a mix of happiness and relief. This girl didn't know was definitely human, a bit of eccentric. I was also a bit angry with myself. The foxy girl was walking through the darkness with a problem, and I shuddered from a every little sound. I could just walk away, but this girl had piqued my interest. The next time a police officer asked me about my friends at the new place, I'll tell him that I've befriended the talking fox.
Ты здесь живешь? В поселке?
She spun around so hard that the hem of her coat lifted up.
Нет, глупый. Лисы не живут в поселках.
Хочешь сказать, ты живешь в лесу?
Из какой норы ты вылез? Конечно! Лисам среди людей не выжить, пока они лисы.
Her jokes were also weird. Just like her carnival mask, Pepper matched with fur glued into it. A dog reminded of its existence with a loud bark. I unfastened my backpack. Dad would sometimes throw food in there without my knowledge, cookies, apples, or even my favorite scrap sticks. He called it a gift from the bunny. The stray strolled towards me with menacing footstep with a pleading look in its eyes. The fox did definitely treat it to something, but it was probably still hungry.
Зачем ты так вырядилась с утра пораньше? На утренник идешь?
The girl shrugged, throwing slippery snowflakes off her nose, and her human form along with them, turning into a genuine beast. A real fox, agile, cunning, dangerous. A moment of hesitation and you'll be ripped to shreds. She'll tear you up and gulp you down without breaking a sweat. I couldn't help but just stand there as a stump.
Видел бы ты свою маску, сладенький.
Sweet. Did she just sweetie? I got embarrassed when read up my hair roots. We'd seen a fox in a zoo once when we went there with Dad, but it had patchy fur, was grey and skinny. But this girl was of fiery color and fury, just like in fairy tales. I was there making through my backpack. My fingers that were searching for the dog's treat stumbled upon some crumpled object.
Ничего, скоро проснутся настоящие звери.
Ngomong apa sih ini orang gila?
Спроси-ка лучше у них, где они взяли свои человеческие лица.
The girl's shadows was dancing in the lamp's light. The dog yapped in agreement. I freaked out and dropped my fennec in the snow without getting a proper chance to examine it. Cold wind instantly covered the hole it created with snow. I did my best to continue the conversation with the weird girl I didn't know.
Ты в школу идешь?
Ах, ну какой же дурачок! Так ничего и не понял.
Well, I was trying to be friendly, but she can't stop mocking me, calling me a dummy and all. I should have just moved along with paying any attention to this weirdo and a stupid dog.
А ты чего обзываешься? Не хочешь отвечать, и пожалуйста. Никто не требует.
Still, something forced me in place, stuck me toward the dark figure. A mystery appearance, her voice that was velvety and just languid enough. I was intrigued and excited. I watched her as people watch a fire burn.
Ой, да не дуйся. Гляди-ка лучше, ты нравишься Жульке.
The dog was digging through snow with sharp movements, snoring loudly. The fox turned around and looked at the windows of the nearby house and its timber thrown through the wheat maze. The tip of her fake nose was shining under the lamp's light.
И не только ей.
I went red again, like a bored crayfish this time. Is she talking about herself or someone else? Entah kenapa aku lihat Anthony Jing. Iya mirip ya. Kacamatanya bundar soalnya. I hope that the semi-dark would be able to hide my embarrassment from the girl. I cleared my throat before asking.
А кому еще я нравлюсь?
I waited, continuing my headbed. The fox didn't reply. Her sly stare was scanning the frosty patterns of someone's windows. She was reading them like a glass book. I wonder what she can see in those winter paintings. The stray stopped making through the snow. I ran to me, holding my object in its jaws. A mitten. Could it be the one I found in the forest? What is it doing here? When I looked closer, I realized it was just my mitten. Maybe Mom stuffed it there when I was asleep. A certain missing boy immediately came to mind.
Эй, ты знаешь что-нибудь про Вову?
I imagined the scene, silhouettes dancing in a clearing. The dance and the night when Fofa had disappeared. A boy who, when found, can provide a big reward and maybe save my family. I remembered my birthday when our parents promised to take me and Olya to Disneyland in Paris. But instead, a long-anticipated gift, they gave me a simple brick game console, visibly embarrassed. I was crying my eyes out back then, demanding to take me to the promised amusement park. That was the first time when mom and dad had a big fight and my greediness shattered their relationship. If only I could fix everything, gather everybody I love and take them to Disneyland.
В ночь, когда пропал Вова, я, кажется, видел, как кто-то похожий на тебя плясал под моим окном.
It couldn't be true, but I felt like her mask became even more sly. The fox was sniffing me out.
А что, ты тогда испугался? За себя или кого-то еще?
Oh yeah, as soon as I thought about my sister, my chest tightened and cold sweat streamed down my spine.
Ну так слушай меня внимательно, мальчик по имени Антон. Это большой и страшный лес.
The fox girl stepped forward menacingly.
И я не единственный его обитатель. Другие звери уже знают о тебе. Берегись нас. Этой ночью
It shouldn't have talked to this evil in child form, I thought, panicking.
пока ты со своей семьей будешь спать, подкрадемся близко.
I hate that zoom. Scary.
Стан Макарену.
Macarena, la Macarena.
Чё?
Huh?
Эй, Макарена!
Eh, Macarena.
У тебя прямо челюсть отвисла, Антоша! Видел он меня ночью у своего окна? Ага, как же! А ты случаем не местный дурачок, нет? Меня не отпускают гулять так поздно. Здесь, знаешь ли, дети пропадают.
I touched the plastic frame of my glasses, pushed by her silly joke. She got me scared to death.
Ой, да не тереби ты окуляры свои. Я раньше тоже близорукой была. Лучше послушай меня. Может быть, ума наберешься. Лисичку как обычно называют?
Плутовка?
Ох ты ж! Да как ты меня?
Ой, прости.
Да шучу я! Конечно, плутовкой. Если ты ловкий и смелый, не боишься с плутовкой водиться, я так и быть помогу разыскать этого Вову.
I think aku kayaknya ini cantik deh sebenarnya si Fox ini.
Ты же неспроста его ищешь, да? Знаю, почему дети повадились соваться в наш лес. Порой там можно найти много всякого интересного. Я вот однажды нашла целый сугроб конфет и купалась в нем, да так что челюсть слиплась.
A pile of candy. I couldn't endorse whether she believed in that she was saying from the tone of her voice. I showed her another smile, a fake one this time.
Посмотрите-ка, какой недоверчивый. Ну-ну, а что ты на это скажешь?
She held out her arm in a fury mitten. There was an assortment of sweets in her palm. In the city where I used to live, sweets like these were sold at markets or in kiosks. I saw my favorite bubblegum in a vivid wrapper among the tasty treasure. A well-known name was on it, Turbo. A triangular fox face poked her nose toward me.
Угощайся. У меня их полные карманы.
Oh! Safe! 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 Okay. I will take it. I accepted the treat and catching a whiff of the girl's smell of pure fireworks and citrus. The smell of holidays. My finger tingled while I was carefully unwrapping the gum. Peachy aroma entered my nostrils and something unfamiliar but pleasant. The fruity cube ended in my mouth. I started moving my molars, chewing the gum. It tasted like your usual Turkish gum, only my tongue went a bit numb. I couldn't believe my luck after opening the insert. I looked at a Mercedes-Benz, an extremely rare and hence desirable collector's item for any boy from my previous neighborhood. My heart skipped a beat. I was barely able to tear my eyes off the insert, still stunned.
Это же... Это...
Теперь понял, что можно найти в лесу? Только на твоем месте я бы туда в одиночку не ходила. Тебе вон от жвачки в забу дыханье сперла. А представляешь, что с тобой будет, если найдешь чемодан таких фантиков? Голову напрочь снесет.
Just like everything else about her. I carefully hid the insert in my bag as if I was putting a rare butterfly in a can. The fox giggled. This is not how things are supposed to go on a Monday morning. Who are you? I refrained from asking that question. She wouldn't answer anyway, or she'll just lie. I realized I wanted to see what's behind her mask. I was becoming more and more sure that underneath it was just a simple young girl.
Может, Вова тоже нашел сугроб сладостей и теперь кувыркается в нем? Слушай, вдруг он решил остаться в лесу? Тогда, наверное, ему очень холодно в одной варежке.
Lah anjir, kok dia tahu kalau dia nggak punya satunya ini. Beli juga tuh hadiahnya. Itu cuma kartu ya, bukan dapat mobil itu sebenarnya. Itu kayak apa ya, barang langka gitu. Tapi kalau bisa dijual dapat duit banyak sih harusnya. Dia kok bisa tahu kalau misalnya si Vova ini nggak punya sarung tangan satunya gitu loh. The wind caught her words like smoke from a fire and carried them deep into the darkness, into the creepy thicket. The trees behind me creaked with their bony branches.
Или с ним что-то случилось в пути.
Or what if something happened to him along the way?
Что-то страшное.
The forest reacted to her words, become alive. Wait. Save.
Дикие звери?
Это, по-твоему, страшно?
Ну, не знаю.
Не знает. Уж не с двоечником ли я подружилась?
I didn't like being called a dunce, yet being friends with her sounded nice.
Я хорошист.
Бел да пушист. Пойдешь со мной, хорошист Антон? Найдем твоего Вову и сам его спросишь, что он нашел в этой пуще. Ведь пока мы вместе, никто тебя в лесу не тронет. Вот увидишь.
Oh my god. But Ron whispered in my
Я
mind.
тебе не верю.
Ты думаешь, я врунья? Да и пожалуйста, мне никогда никто не верит.
The girl sounded hurt, although I didn't know if she was genuine about it.
Не обижайся, пожалуйста. Лисы бывают и добрыми. Ну, как в сказках. Мне бы только понять, что ты за лиса.
Тогда пойдем со мной в лес, и ты все обо мне узнаешь. Но не сейчас, а когда рассветет. А то тебя, бедного, всего аж потряхивает. Того и гляди, кондрашка хватит. Айда, провожу тебя до школы.
I leaned in, trying to grab a piece of hand, but almost ran away from me.
Ну, если тебе по пути,
Dianterin. Okay. Here and there, the lights came on the windows of houses we passed, as if their inhabitants were sending us warning signs. Silhouettes lurked behind curtains, dogs let out occasional barks. Spirals of grey smoke rose from the chimneys, TVs bustled and dishes clanged in the kitchens. We watched the village slowly rise from its slumber, while carefully treading the snowy wheel trails. I walked in the left one and she took the right one. The dog was following right behind us. I expected the fox to bring up something weird again, but she stayed silent all the way to the school, as if playing with me some game only she was privy to. She would only giggle from time to time when the dog sneezed from the snowflakes that fell on its nose. I was the first to break the silence.
так как тебя зовут?
So what's your name?
Ну, конечно. Имена, имена, имена. Людям непременно надо вешать ярлыки на все подряд. Ну и как бы ты назвал такую лису, как я?
Даже не знаю. Но я читал про лису по имени Алиса.
А что? Я не против. Пусть будет Алиса.
I couldn't understand if she was joking or not. I turned around as if looking for an answer from the dog from the dark sky devoid of the dawn. My silent questions were left unanswered. The school outline was already in our sight, a giant brick box stuck in the endless night. Lights in its windows didn't bode well for me. The warden trees were guarding the schoolyard. I went there with Mom and we just moved and the place looked cozy at the time. Empty corridors that smelled of polish, puffy snow outside. The second time I came alone to get the books and just kept on amazing my peers. Rolling down the railings, great schoolers running to the library, and teachers marching down to the corridor of the air of self-importance around them. High schoolers were smoking at the entrance in track pants and wool caps perched on their foreheads. Ton sekolah ton, malah pacaran gitu kan sama Rubah sama QB. Malah ngedate sama QB anjir depan sekolah. Their stingy eyes and the teeth yellow from nicotine, their smirks, all of it had the same gloomy effect as a cloudy winter morning. Absorbed by my thoughts, I completely forgot about my companion.
После уроков жду тебя на заднем дворе. Возле повешенного.
Возле кого?
Near what? She just ignored my question.
Не опаздывай.
I hesitated. Blowing hot and cold again, Mom always said that when I would have trouble choosing between two options. Thinking about Mom helped me reply.
Я после школы сразу домой.
Эх, Антоша, Антоша, это я тебя так просто отпустила. Другие же незаметно подкрадутся со своими улыбочками и вцепятся. Клещами не оторвешь. Попомни мои слова.
Wait, what? Bisa kebuka mulutnya. What kind of trick is this? I distinctly turned around. I whimpered and ran toward the ring. The darkness devoured it. Anjir, dilempar gitu, parah banget. Or was she hiding in my shadow? I gulped and swallowed the gum. Unlucky. After taking a deep breath, I went toward the school, towards the clothless window, towards the light raining down on the snow. Enter. I could hear muffled voices behind the door, saw blinking lamps. Darkness crept along the windows. It felt like the school was drifting in open space like a lonely slow spaceship. After going up to the second floor, I noticed a crowd around the notice board. Everyone was taking part in a lively discussion. I moved closer and took a look at something everyone was interested in through a wall of backpacks. There was a piece of paper with something imprinted on it glued on the left of the notice board. Vova Matjukin. Vova Matjukin, 10 years old, grade 4B. He left his home in January the 5th, around 1600, and never returned. He was wearing an orange coat with a hood, a black wool cap, a scarf, and a mittens with green stripes. Might have a plastic toy gun on him. Features 142 centimeters tall, skinny brown hair, eyes, and cream size. Please call these numbers if you have any information of Vova's whereabouts. A plastic toy gun couldn't protect him from the whispering branches and the howling wind. Empty eyes of the lost boy pressed through my soul as if pleading. Unable to meet his stare, I turned around and rushed to the window, took a seat on the windowsill. The corridor was slowly filling up with children in groups of few. Oh, mulai rame ya. Nobody paid me any mind. In the darkness of school, toilets child voices were hammering a nursery rhyme.
Для медведя, для лисы, зайчик кушать принеси.
I turned my head towards them, trying to get a better look at their features, but then my attention was stolen by a loud clicking sound. A female teacher marched down the corridor with her chin raised up high. Her heels were hitting the floor like miniature hooves. A girl was trailing her every step. She was also looking pompous, stomping along the way and whispering some secret in her friend's ear. She was probably a class rep since she was carrying an attendance register book.
Екатерина, возьми, пожалуйста.
The teacher opened the classroom door and a crowd of children swarmed in, screaming and pushing. Out of all of them, a tall red-headed fat boy caught my attention. His face was full of blisters. He looked like the inside of a pomegranate. A bad feeling rising up the hair on my back of my head. I've seen boys like him before, unsettled eyes, cackling laughter. The girl who was a small copy of the teacher warned the boy with a wave of her hand and entered the room to the clearing in the crowd. Some other guy stood in the way of the girl and redhead immediately shoved him. A few legs more than. The boy flew ahead first, flailing his hand trying to keep his balance. The fatso burst out laughing and a couple of kids joined his net cackling. The classroom sucked all of the kids in. The crowd stood empty. I wanted to grow roots and stay on a windowsill. Just a handful of lamps Lampposts outside were battling the darkness, splitting the like fluorescent fish in the black ocean. Maybe I can still run away? Go outside, dissolve in the dark. I imagine myself running through snow, how it squeaks under my boots, and how I'm becoming lighter and lighter with every step. The ringer's trail blew that illusion away. I tore myself from the window with great effort, then took a couple of deep breaths, trying to at least calm down my mad pulse, and entered the classroom. Oke, kita masuk ke kelas. Boop, boop, boop. And the prim teacher looked at me over the frame of her glasses, clearly annoyed.
Я новенький. Мне вот сказали к вам подойти.
The snowy forest trail was winding in front of my eyes. The pines rustled, but it didn't sound predatory anymore. She buried herself in the regular flick through the pages.
А фамилия-то как?
Петров.
Громче говори. Чего мямлишь?
Петров.
Нет такого.
I wanted to sing through the floor. Hazy faces observed all of that from the left. The classroom breathed and snorted in unison, like a living organism, like a dangerous
Ты не
beast.
ошибся? Нет такого в списке.
My knees chose the worst time to start shaking and I felt dizzy. I clutched my face so hard my knuckles became white.
Мне сказали, 204 кабинет, Лилия Павловна, 6 В.
Что за бардак?
The classroom fell silent. The kids hid their smirks for a better occasion.
Понаберут студентов. Только знают, что губяки свои малевать. А я разгребай, значит. А бумаги-то кто заполнять будет? Не первый раз ведь уже. Подожди здесь. Сейчас. Сейчас я им устрою.
The teacher flew past me, mumbling something to herself in a righteous anger, and I was left standing at the center of the classroom. Like a convict in front of a firing squad, I lowered my gaze, feeling the mocking stares from all around the classroom directed at me. They prickled my skin and danced in on it like a laser sight. Once again, I imagined running away from this place, fighting the clowning wind soaring high above the pines in one long jump. With the wind in my back as my only companion, the eyes of my future classmates were asking this new boy, is he one of us or an outsider? Somebody whispered something and a stifled laughter rolled through the classroom.
Доску вытри!
It was easy to guess who was the main prankster here.
Эй, очкарик! Ты чё, не только слепой, но еще и глухой? Доску вытри, говорю!
I was trembling from head to toe. Udah mulai dibully ya, baru mulai, anjay. My prayers were answered by the powers that be.
Ну что мне с тобой делать-то? Куда сажать, а? Давай-ка сядь, наверное, с Семеном. Он все равно один.
Еще чего?
The fatso put his backpack on the seat beside him in defiance, scratched his belly and smirked.
Ты опять за старое? Снова бабушку в школу вызывать?
The classroom went silent.
А чё она мне сделает?
Не она, так я тебе сделаю. Рюкзак убрал быстро.
Semyon didn't move a muscle. He started studying the portraits of writers on the wall, looking bored. I needed to do something to resolve this somewhat to save myself.
Я могу за последнюю парту сесть. Там, кажется, свободно.
She looked at me, then at Semyon, then back at me.
Ладно, садись пока туда. А с тобой, Бабурин, мы еще поговорим. Чтобы подошел после уроков. Будешь по классу дежурить, ясно?
Semyon forced his face by. Josephine paused by growing on the tip of his nose, ripe for the talking. I walked carefully, afraid to stumble and fall, causing another outburst of laughter from anyone. I took my seat, and at the back at the last table, where I was met by a pile of old posters. The outcasts took their seats, and the class was ready to start.
Вот и хорошо. Начнем урок. Тема: традиции русской и мировой литературы в рассказе Зощенко «Не надо врать».
The fatso turned back to me. He stared informed me to the coming days, weeks, and months of bullying. I've got my eyes on you, said his battery look. After just a couple, I noticed a huge yellow spit stain in my... Anjir, diludahin. Are you kidding me, dude? Then at the cafeteria, the Semyon accidentally spilled a glass of compote on me. Apa itu kompot? Oh, minuman manis kayak ini. Ada isinya ya. And then he flailed his hand around after exiting the toilet so some of the sweat of his hand would get on me. Just before the final period for the day, Semyon pushed me into the buzzing crowd of girls from our class. They made way cursing, but I couldn't hold my balance and ended up grabbing my way into the girl talk with a slap right in her chest. I immediately stepped back, dying from
Прости,
embarrassment.
ты в порядке?
Я...
Then she suddenly put her hands on her hips.
Нет, ну вы посмотрите на него. Облапал меня прямо у всех на глазах. Я сейчас все маме расскажу. Тебя из школы выгонят, извращенец.
There was some sort of sadistic pleasure in her eyes, as if she was a child who was about to put a lid up to match the heifer battle.
Я нечаянно, меня толкнули.
Все видели. Слепых среди нас нет.
She stared at my glasses while snowing me a creepy smile. This girl is a bitch! I started to foam on the inside, but Semyon slowly cooled my head.
Толкнули? Чё, правда?
He swaggered up to me, enveloping in the smell of sunflower seeds and rotting teeth, and then pushed me to the ground.
Вот так, да? И чё ты сделаешь?
The bully towered over me as if saying, "Come on, hit me, let me see you try." I will fight you, motherfucker! I will hit you on the head.
Слушай, ты...
My throat went dry, my lips were moving on their own, and my voice came to a simple squeal. Semyon wore a mocking smile.
Давай, продолжай, очкарик. Чё примолк-то? Нам всем очень интересно.
Если еще хоть раз меня тронешь...
Натронул и чё?
Еще хоть раз!
Тронул. А вот еще. И еще. И еще. И еще.
He was poking me with his finger so hard that my head tilted backward. I must not cry, or I'll be done for.
Чё ты мне сделаешь, мямля?
Hell yeah! Hit him hard! What I saw when I opened my eyes was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Semyon was holding his eye and blinking in amazement. Was I the first person to rebel against his absolute rule?
Стопэ!
Эна!
I needed to run, but I was already surrounded by his cronies.
Лилия Павловна! Лилия Павловна! Петров Бабурина ударил!
Semyon's cheeks grew even redder and his palms even whiter like the heads of larvae. But a smile flashed on his face that was only noticed among his comrades. He got really close to me, the smell of rotten teeth washed over me.
Тебе пиздец.
I was waiting to get hit, counting the thumbs of my heart and guessing where his face will go. The solar plexus, the jaw, the nose, but he just turned around and walked off. A thought, cold and sober and extremely rational, popped in my head. I'm going to get killed today. I was late to leave the school after classes and purpose. Semyon didn't attend the last period, so I was hopeful. What if he decided to dodge the cleaning duty and run home, forgetting all about me? I heaved a sigh of relief, like someone death row whose execution was delayed by a day. But I didn't let myself forget his tone, his vengeful gaze, and his scary, electrified smirk. While the other students were leaving the school, laughing loudly, I was pretending to skim through my books near a window. I was staring outside, nervous. Semyon was nowhere to be found in the front yard or near the school gate. I didn't really believe I was this lucky, so I decided to be extra cautious and stayed for some more time in the corridor that was gradually getting less crowded. Mereka berencana buat ini kayaknya, buat ngeluarin kita dari sekolah. There was a skeleton peeking out of the biology classroom. Some jokester put a cap with the American condor on his head. The sound of running water were coming from the bathroom. I was the only person left in the whole school. I'm not alone, a sudden thought came to mind. I remembered the missing boy. His portrait was on the notice board near the schedule. I remembered his smile. him looking at me, and the fact that he's most likely already dead.
Привет.
Hello. Oh. I shuddered and turned around. Who is this? Who is this? At first, my eyes stumbled upon the black violin case. Then I noticed a girl from my class was holding it. Shit! Boy, let's go! Boo! Look at the art! Oh my god, she's pretty. She sat in the first row on the second column. I could swear I caught her looking at me a couple of times. And I was sneaking glances at her myself. Oh, God bless me. Oke. Kita bakal end streamnya di sini. It's a good place to end it. The girl. Okay. Can we like hide? Alright, Mr. Boy. We can save that screenshot. Alright. Oke. Udah ke save, kita bakal lanjutin lagi di next stream ya. Lanjutin lagi Tiny Bunny-nya. Oke. Kita pindah dulu ke ini. Oke, let's go. Oke, ya, jadi tadi itu Tiny Bunny. Makasih buat teman-teman yang udah pada nonton. Ya, thank you for watching. Kita udah sampai mana tadi ya? Sampai ini ketemu teman baru di sekolah. Dan terlepas dari berbagai bulian yang kita terima sebagai Anton. Well, man, the girl is so fucking cute, what the hell. Imut banget desain ceweknya. Simple banget, tapi apa ya? Mungkin gara-gara artnya sendiri ya bikin kayak kelihatan elegan gimana gitu ceweknya. But ya, itu part 1 buat Tiny Bunny. Kita bakal ketemu lagi di next part buat Tiny Bunny part 2. Dan ya, kita bakal tahu apakah kita bisa menemukan penjahatnya atau belum. Kita nggak tahu. Tapi aku bakal ngelarin kayaknya sampai semua ending deh, kemungkinan ya. So, yang mau istirahat silakan istirahat, yang mau makan silakan makan, yang mau kerja silakan kerja, atau yang mungkin istirahat dulu ya, masih jam 12:30, masih panjang malamnya, bisa istirahat dulu. Hai, toいうわけで見ててくれてありがとうございました。また別の機会でまた会いましょう。では、お疲れ様でした。Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Bye bye. お疲れ様でした。Bye bye. おつた。Okay, I'll see you next stream. Bye bye. Oh ya, lagi. Buat ingetin lagi, makasih Mbak Unu udah mau cosplayin karakter dari game ini, Tiny Bunny. Buat yang penasaran sama cosplaynya Mbak Unu, bisa dicek lagi Twitternya di bawah, ada link di deskripsi, bisa diklik dan bisa belajar lebih lanjut tentang Mbak Unu ya. Banyak cosplay yang baru, apalagi baru-baru ini yang Hatsune Miku itu yang di post, yang udah diedit itu, gila sih, itu mantap banget. So, hai, makasih Mbak Unu, bye bye. Otsukare deshita. Teman-teman yang udah nonton juga, bye bye. Makasih udah mampir.
If I fall, will somebody get me? I'm positive nobody will. со мной.